Welcome to the Standing in Our Truth podcast. My name is TJ Sachdev Bolish,
And my name is Richa Sachdev Sandhu.
and we're finally here. I mean, how long has it taken us to get here?
I think it's all just divine timing because it seems like the right time. And we've just been through enough together to be able to share it and just own it.
Own that we've done this recording 3 or 4 times before, and age of our life where we're like, nope, we got to do it again. And it's 2025 now, and I'm stepping into this season of my life and just like, let's do it. Let's just do this.
I think that's a big part of it. With 2025, it's like we can do all the things we wanted to do, and we're going to focus on not that perfectionistic personality, which is probably why we didn't launch as we had planned a few months ago. So,
Agree. The whole pressure of like January and new year, new goals. I hesitate to make these goals because I'm not consistent. I don't always follow through, but there's something about a fresh start. And so this is the first episode, and we wanted to give a little intro about why we created Standing in Our Truth, tell you a little bit about our truth, and take it from there. So Richa, you want to get us started?
well, it's just so interesting that we spend all of our lives portraying a certain image of ourselves, and here we are, ready to, get all those flaws and just the raw truth about ourselves, which is a little scary, honestly, culturally and just in society in general. But yes, fine, I'll get it started.
Yeah, I was like, I never knew what my truth was, and I still often don't because it's like you said, culturally and the way that we were brought up, it was a certain image that you portrayed. It's almost out of fear that I've held back so much. And so, this platform, this community, this podcast is for us to just be raw and real. Seriously.
Yeah, little did we know that's where the power is, huh?
Yeah.
I guess in getting us started, I also didn't think, this is my story or whatever we call it, but I think it's just pure happenstance and what, what we become, like what happens in life and the choices we make and where that leads us. And just looking back at it, I see that there's so much strength there, which sometimes is probably easier for others to see that before we do.
I for sure saw it for you. I mean, from the first time I met you in 2017. Oh my gosh, it's been quite a journey since then, but you were a shell of a person. I mean, no disrespect to you. You were, the perfect worker bee, just like had the perfect, from my perspective, like everything was put together. And I was like, I can learn a lot from her. And to see who you are and the woman that you've become now, I'm like, I am so honored to be on this journey with you. And it's for you to start telling your truth. Like, because initially we didn't tell each other our truths.
Nope.
Like, we pretended to be these people.
Yeah. It's hilarious just what we presented. And yeah, when you joined our team in 2017, with, our boss back then, we saw you on paper and we were like, she's absolutely perfect. So that's what I was attracted to. I'm like, awesome. This is a good person to know. She's a hustler. You also were put together and just, presenting like, okay, you're going to get the job done. You know how to just, it took you like 10 seconds to own your role when we worked together, but we'll go into that whole story later on, probably, because I think it's really interesting how we pretended for so long to be just, yeah, the shell of people that you're portraying.
Yeah, I mean, talk about me assuming that role. The joke about this whole thing is that I thought I was applying for a different role. When I applied to this, I thought I was applying to be a business analyst, when in fact I went into an interview for business development. But talk about that divine timing. I had to like fake it till I make it. And a lot of the self discovery journey, this profound journey I've been on, has been about faking it till I make it and walking through fear. Our boss assigned you as like my mentor, and of course you had tenure there, so you had more experience, but I needed your guidance and your experience to help elevate me. And this whole Standing in Our Truth business is about empowering each other. And so yeah, that initial meeting of when we first met was just It was like a little envy, a little jealousy, but a little fire was lit under my ass because there's a competitive nature in me too, right? But it
Mhm.
wasn't until we were forced in a conversation to be real. And I think that's a testament to our boss and just the
Mhm.
environment that he created and the culture and the work culture that he just created for us. He was just like, no, personal and professional lives can blend in a healthy way. And
Mhm.
that's when I told you that I entered the mental health space because I struggled myself and I was in recovery at that time from trauma and addiction. And I was then working to help other people access mental health. And then you shared your truth and I was like, oh God, I'm not alone, you know?
Yeah. It took a while for sure. I definitely relate to the envy and like, oh, like she's learning really fast, like she's super smart. And how, it's crazy how we didn't even know that we were like aligned our whole lives, going to the same college, but never crossing paths back then. And just, obviously we have the same last name, which people all around who know us, that people are confused because they're like, you're actually sisters, right? Which, yes, we are actually sisters, but we're born with different parents. And so, I mean, it's just a crazy story. But I think the fact that we met at the time that we were both getting into these specific roles in the behavioral health world, in business development, and just getting our names out there, that happened at the right time too. So, I mean, we did share at the same time, right? Why we were in the field, but that also took like a few months in, thanks to our boss. It's hard to share specifically how, my journey went, but I think it's also aligned with both of us. But being born in India and coming here at a young age, I think it was a lot of an identity crisis that caused me to develop a lot of my issues. I've struggled, and you've helped me through this always with just always held me up. But obviously, a lot of anxiety and depression, and body dysmorphia, eating disorders, and it's been just constant work over the years. It's not like it ever really goes away, but when you look it in the eye and use it as a strength as you empower yourself, I think we're both there right now. And I gotta thank you for really, you've always brought out like the positive when you spend a lot of your life aiming for perfectionism and presentation and just making your parents proud and making sure you present the way they want you to be presented. And obviously not blaming any of that. It's just how we're raised to make them proud. So I see the same with you. I mean, just again, we're different backgrounds and different. We have so many differences, but so many similarities, which I think is a lot of women.
Oh my gosh, to name a few, like, my parents immigrated here. I was born here, but born and raised and under the same standards of achievement. What college are you going to? When are you going to get married? And, achieving these milestones. And, I developed unhealthy coping mechanisms through codependency, using substances, distracting, numbing through social media and food because I never felt comfortable in my own skin. And since the pandemic, like people are
Mhm.
talking about mental health. So huge props to those that have come before us. And then the whole fake it till you make it just gets exhausting. And so in the last years of my recovery, I have been on this self discovery journey. And to this day, I still struggle with knowing who I am and standing in that identity and setting boundaries and speaking up. I'm so not confrontational. And the goal is to share, our experience in hopes that you may find strength through that. Because I wish I had more girlfriends that would just say the truth and say that they may not be doing okay. And then, and how they've healed through it. And so I've learned a lot of tips and tricks on the way, but there's so much more. And that's why whenever you and I talk on the phone, we're like, we should have recorded that because
I
that was a therapy session.
Totally. I mean, some of the things that come up when we're just like reflecting on life, we're not even focusing on, okay, what do we need to improve? It's usually none of that. It's just like this happened and this is how I reacted, and just supporting each other through that. And being in this field, it helps so much, right? Because we're seeing things in a specific lens. When I learned through Al-Anon recently, that's a new journey for me, but just being able to see people that should be focusing on themselves and not others. It's like they don't see it sometimes, and it seems like such a lucky the fact that we can have that tool, like that lens to see what we need to work on is just it's really empowering. And yeah, I wish other people did it more as well.
Yeah. And so, with that, that's a little bit about ourselves and kind of where we've come from. I know there are topics that we really want to jump into for like a whole episode. One of them that's just popping up for me is generational trauma. And full transparency, I am pregnant. I'm about 5.5 months pregnant, and we can talk about the pretty struggles I went through to become pregnant, which is a whole episode in itself because talk about health, wellness, and mental well-being. Like it was a real struggle for me, but generational trauma right now that I'm going through is, working through what I don't want to pass on to the next generation. And my revelation is that I can't heal all of that before I give birth. Part of that is being on this messy healing journey while being a mother. And you've taught me that, like, as you have been a parent to Armand, and like watching you go through all of, some of the struggles that you have been going through in your family life, in your personal, professional, and to see you be such a great mom is it's really inspiring. So many topics that we want to get into, but I know that's one I really want to talk about, and how we've both individually healed through some of our traumas.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you're going to join the motherhood journey. It's we always talk about how we're born a blank slate, and that's all this pressure on us to have this other human that we're molding. And we know all of our flaws, and just like you said, it's I think that topic's really exciting with just like not wanting to pass on the things that you didn't want or that you developed, or so that can be looked at so many angles, but I'm so excited to deep dive into that.
Yes. Until next time, here's to our healing and our rising.
Can't wait.